So my wife just called the cops on me. She also called CPS, and now I'm going to lose my doctor's license. I'm going to lose my children. I'm going to lose my wife, my house, my dogs, my bank accounts, everything. Simply because my wife wanted to one-up me. Okay, I forgot to pick up my son at daycare. It doesn't mean she should call the police on me. I was in the middle of an open heart surgery. When I was supposed to pick up my son, sue me. I thought it wasn't my day to pick him up. And you know what? I don't know what to do, because now I can't be a doctor. I can't do anything I want to do, and it's all her fault, and I got the entire scoop. I'm 33. My husband and I are in the middle of a trial separation. I just let daycare call the police on him. Now he says I've ruined his life. Yeah, let's start. I know I'll probably be the villain here, but Victor and I have been married for 7 years. We're both medical professionals. He's an orthopedic surgeon, and I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner. When we met during my last year of grad school, I thought I hit the jackpot. Brilliant, ambitious, charming. The kind of guy who could explain complex surgical procedures at a dinner party and just have everyone hanging on to every word. We had this power couple thing going on, you know? Both of us pulling long shifts, both very passionate about medicine, both making good money. We bought this gorgeous house 40 minutes from my family because it was 5 minutes from his hospital. I should have seen the red flag, but I was in love. Everything shifted when Theo was born 3 years ago, and I mean everything. Before Theo, our crazy schedule somehow worked. We would grab dinner at 11 p.m. after our shift, sleep in on rare day offs, and take spontaneous weekend trips when we both miraculously had time. But a baby doesn't care that mommy had a 12-hour shift or daddy was in surgery until 2 a.m. Someone has to be there at 3 in the morning for feedings, and at 6 a.m. for breakfast, and at 5:30 p.m. sharp for daycare pickup. Well, guess who that someone became? I went part-time after maternity leave, just temporary, Victor said, until we figure out a rhythm. Well, guys, that was exactly 3 years ago. My temporary part-time position became permanent while his hours somehow got longer. Chief of orthopedics by 34. Amazing for his career, disaster for a family. I was doing daycare drop-offs, pickups, all the pediatrician appointments, the meal planning, the birthday parties, and when Theo got hand, foot, and mouth disease last year, guess who took the week off? When daycare was closed for professional development, guess who scrambled for coverage? So, the resentment builds up like plaque in an artery. Slow, silent, and suddenly dangerous. 6 months ago, after another fight about him missing Theo's first soccer practice, he was stuck in surgery, his favorite little excuse. I suggested, you know what, maybe we should do a trial separation. Not a divorce, just space to figure things out. Victor was shocked, but agreed. Probably because he thought that I'd come crawling back in a week. Here's our setup. So, we kept the main house and the guest apartment on the property. It's basically a small house itself, full kitchen, 2 bedrooms, separate entrance. We alternate weeks, and when it's my week with Theo, I'm in the main house and Victor's in the guest apartment, and when it's his week, we swap. Theo stays put and his routine doesn't change. His dinosaur-themed bedroom stays the same. His toys don't move, and we thought we were being civilized, so child-focused. The ground rules were pretty simple. The on-duty parent handles everything that week. School drop-off, pickup, meals, bedtime, weekend activities, and the off-duty parent can see Theo but doesn't interfere with routine. We communicate through a shared calendar and text only about Theo. We agreed to reassess after 6 long months. The first month was actually pretty okay. Victor seemed to step up during his week, and he was doing pickups, making Theo's lunch even if it was just a PB&J. Every single day he did it, reading bedtime stories, and I started to think maybe this would be the wake-up call he needed. Then came the late pickups. It was the academy, Theo's daycare. It closes at 5:30 p.m., not 5:35, not 5:31, 5:30. They charge $2 per minute late, and after 6 p.m. they call emergency contacts. After 6:15, they're mandated to call CPS or police for child abandonment. See, this is all in the parent handbook. We both signed it. The first time Victor was late during his week, it was 5:48 p.m. Janine, the director. She called me since I'm the primary contact. I was with a patient, a 6-year-old with pneumonia, who was scared and clinging to my hand while we waited for the chest x-ray results, but I had to excuse myself and call Victor. Obviously no answer. Then raced to daycare. By the time I got there, Victor had arrived. Looking, lost, but playing it off with his usual charm. He said, "Sorry, surgery ran over." He told Janine, flashing that smile that used to make my knees weak. "You know how it is." I pulled him aside after, reminded him about the pickup time, the late fees, the policy, and he waved me off. He said, "It was one time, Marina. Don't catastrophize." The second time was 2 weeks later, 5:52 p.m. I was in a staff meeting when Janine called, had to leave mid-presentation about our new pediatric asthma protocol. My boss, Dr. Patterson, gave me this look, not angry but disappointed. That look that says, "I thought you had your life together." The third time, 6 o'clock, 6:03 to be exact. Theo was the last kid there, sitting in the front office with his dinosaur book bag, looking so small in that adult-sized chair. But the fourth time, 5:58, and Janine pulled me aside and said, "Marina, this is becoming a pattern. I know you're separated, but this affects Theo, and he asks where his daddy is. He gets anxious when all his friends are leaving and he's not." My heart shattered. So I confronted Victor that night, really laid into him. You want to know his response? Well, I'll tell ya. "Oh, I'm saving lives, Marina. Sometimes that runs late, I can't help it. Would you rather I leave somebody on the operating table wide open?" The emotional manipulation was so smooth I almost didn't catch it, but I did. "You're not the only orthopedic surgeon in the city, Victor. They have contingency plans. You're choosing your job over your son." "Oh, that's rich coming from you. You pick him up during my weeks. How is he supposed to learn I'm reliable if you keep swooping in?" The circular logic made my head spin. He was late, and I covered. Then he blamed me for covering? The fifth incident. 6 o'clock. 6:08. Then the sixth time. Then the seventh. And dangerously close to the CPS cutoff. 6:01 p.m. Each time Janine called me, each time I left work, and each time my reputation at my job took another hit. My patient family started noticing, "Oh, Dr. L had a family emergency," the receptionist would say when I had to reschedule. But how many emergencies can one person have before people stop trusting their reliability? I started keeping a log. It was screenshots of every text, every late fee receipt, every apologetic email I had to send to my supervisor, and my friend Fiona said that I should let him fail, let him face consequences, but how could I? It's Theo who suffers, Theo who sits there watching the door, wondering why everyone else's parents come on time. Then came incident number 9. Last Thursday was his week. It was 5:15 p.m. and I was the patient. Yep, I was with a patient. A 2-year-old with respiratory virus who's been in and out of the hospital, and the mother was terrified. She really needed reassurance, needed somebody to really listen. My phone buzzed, Janine. I let it go to voicemail. 5:20. Another call came in and I silenced it. 5:25. Text from Janine that said, "Marina, Victor isn't here. Theo is asking for you." So my chest tightened, but I looked at the scared mother and her sick baby, and I made a choice. I texted back, "I'm with a critical patient. Victor needs to handle this." 5:35, Janine texted again that says he's not answering. I've called him 7 times. 5:45, "Marina, I'm going to have to follow protocol soon." 6 o'clock, "Final warning. If no parent arrives by 6:15, I will call the authorities." I felt sick. Physically ill, but I stayed with my patient and finished the appointment and gave that mother the attention she deserved. I walked out at 6:20 to find 7 missed calls from Victor, 3 from Janine, and 1 from a number I didn't know. The police had been called at exactly 6:16. Victor had arrived at 6:22 to find a cop car in the daycare parking lot, and Theo was fine, playing with dinosaurs, of course. Oblivious to the drama. But Victor had to explain to the police why he abandoned his kid, and Janine had to file the report. There's now a record of it. He called me screaming, he was actually yelling. I haven't heard him lose his cool like this in 7 years of our marriage. He basically said, and, well, you did this on purpose. You could have picked him up. You've destroyed my reputation. What if the hospital finds out? What if this affects my license? I was with the patient, I said, my voice calmer than I felt. During your custody week following the rules we agreed to. Oh, don't give me that bull crap, Marina. You wanted this to happen. You wanted to punish me. Okay, maybe I did. Or maybe I just wanted him to understand that being a parent means showing up even when it's inconvenient, even when important things are happening at work, even when you're saving lives or whatever heroic narrative you've built for yourself. He's been texting nonstop since Thursday, alternating between rage and manipulation. Theo could have been traumatized. This will be on his record. You're destroying our family to prove a point, he would say. But here's what gets me. Theo wasn't traumatized. He was playing dinosaurs. He's used to waiting on his dad. He's used to being the last kid there, and that's the real trauma. Yeah, the slow, steady erosion of trust that daddy will show up on time. I know this was extreme. I know letting it get to the police involvement was what people call nuclear. But, I've warned him 8 times. 8! I've covered for him 8 times, lost credibility at my job 8 times, and how many chances does someone get before you stop enabling them? So guys, am I the a-hole for letting the daycare call the police instead of leaving my patient to cover for my separated husband's negligence again? What's up, everybody? Oh man, today is a drama-full story. I do have multiple updates, and the first one was posted exactly 3 weeks later. I hope you guys are enjoying today's story, and if you want more daily videos, well, you might as well hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment down below, and if you're enjoying it, don't forget to leave a like. Here's the first update, update number 1. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. Thank you to everybody who took the time to read and respond. If you're here for drama, buckle up, cupcake, because it's been a wild 3 weeks. First, to address some common questions. Yes, Victor makes enough to hire a nanny or assistant for pickups, and no, he won't because, quote, that's admitting defeat. In his words, yes, I've even suggested adjusting the custody schedule, and no, he won't agree because he wants 50-50 for appearances, and probably child support calculation according to my lawyer. Yeah, I have a lawyer now. Okay, so the fallout. Victor went nuclear after the police incident. He accused me of weaponizing CPS and trying to build a custody battle case. He sent me a long email, obviously CCing his lawyer, because of course he already had one, stating that I had deliberately endangered our child's emotional well-being to score points in our marital dispute. The projection was almost impressive. But here's where it gets interesting. My friend Fiona, who's been my rock through this, said something that stopped me cold. Marina, this isn't forgetfulness, it's neglect, and neglect is considered abuse. I pushed back at first. Victor loves Theo, he's not abusive at all. I'll say it, he's a good dad. But Fiona asked me to really think about it. If a parent regularly left their kid at school until the police were called, what would I as a pediatric healthcare provider call that? Well, I think I would call CPS. That realization hit like a surgical sledgehammer to the chest, so I called my Aunt C that night. She lives 3 hours away, near where I grew up, where my support system is, where we lived before Victor convinced me to move for his amazing opportunity at the hospital here. She listened to me sob for an hour and then said, "Sweetheart, you know what you need to do, document everything and protect the baby and come home." Home? Funny how I hadn't thought of our beautiful house as home in so long. Well, I started documenting obsessively. Every text, every late pickup. Yes, there were 2 more in his next week, 5:45 and 5:52, every excuse in the book. I also started noting things I'd normalized, like how he forgets Theo's allergy medicine, how he feeds him McDonald's 4 nights a week because, well, he likes nuggies, during his custody time because he doesn't have time to cook. How Theo comes back from dad's weeks clingy and dysregulated. The daycare has been documenting too, Janine, bless her heart, has been keeping detailed records since the police incident. She pulled me aside last week and said, "Marina, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen a lot of divorces. This is not about parents fighting. This is about a father who can't or won't prioritize his child. You know, Theo deserves better. So here I am, ugly crying in the parking lot after that conversation. Victor's been spinning the narrative with our mutual friends. He's the dedicated surgeon being persecuted by his vindictive wife who called the cops on him. A few people have reached out to get my side, but most have stayed silent. The silence speaks volumes. It's easier to side with the charming surgeon than the exhausted mom who finally snapped. But here's the thing, I'm not trying to win a popularity contest. I'm trying to protect my son from growing up feeling like an afterthought. My boss pulled me aside yesterday. She knows about the separation, has been patient with my chaos, but she said something that haunts me. Marina, you're an excellent practitioner, but you can't give your best to your patients when you're constantly in crisis mode. Figure this out for everyone's sake. She's right. I can't keep living life in this limbo, waiting for the next time Victor fails Theo and expecting me to swoop in. I can't keep setting myself on fire to keep Victor's reputation warm. So I've made a decision. I'm filing for divorce and seeking primary custody. Not to punish Victor, really, but to give Theo the stability that he deserves. To give myself the chance to be the mother and healthcare provider I know I can be without constantly compensating for Victor's failures. Victor doesn't know yet, but he will soon. If you've made it this far, thanks for listening to a stranger vent. This community has given me more support than most people in my real life, and yes, I'll update when I can. Update number 2. This is 5 weeks after the original post. The mediation meeting from hell just ended, and I'm sitting in my car in the courthouse parking lot typing this out because I need to scream into the internet, I guess. Quick recap for new people. Husband chronically late for daycare pickups during our separation. I let daycare call the police on the 9th incident instead of covering for him. He lost his mind and I filed for divorce. Since my last update, things escalated exactly as my lawyer predicted. First, daycare gave us both the final warning. One more late pickup from either parent and Theo would be expelled. The letter was formal, reference with the police incident, and made it clear they were documenting everything for liability reason. Victor was furious, blamed me for creating the situation and conveniently forgetting his, 9 late pickups before the law was called? Then came Victor's week from hell, his words. Monday of his week, late again, 5:43 p.m. Janine called me, but I was in the middle of administrating vaccines to a premature infant. Didn't answer. Victor made it by 5:58, just under the wire for another police call. He texted me a novel-length rant about how I'm sabotaging him. Wednesday. He had an emergency surgery scheduled for 3 p.m. Knew he wouldn't make the pickup. Instead of arranging backup like a responsible adult, he texted me at 2:47 p.m. while I was with the patient, demanding I pick up Theo because patient care comes first. I didn't even respond. He had to leave surgery to get Theo at 5:28 p.m. The other surgeon was apparently not very happy, and Victor blamed me for his professional humiliation. So Friday is what I call the final straw. See, he was on time for pickup, but forgot it was Pizza Friday at daycare. Theo was the only kid without pizza money. Again. The daycare fed him because they always do, but Theo noticed. He always notices. Janine told me Theo said Daddy forgets lots of things, but Mommy doesn't forget. My heart shattered into a million pieces, and the mediation prep was intense. My lawyer, Sharon, an angel in pantsuits, had me compile everything, late pickup documentation, text messages, the police report even. Daycare records, my work attendance record showing all the times I left for emergencies. Even Theo's behavioral notes from his pediatrician showing increased anxiety during Victor's weeks. This isn't about painting him as a villain, Sharon said. It's about showing a pattern of inability to provide consistent care. Victor's lawyers, meanwhile, tried to paint me as a vindictive spouse using our child as a weapon. They actually argued that I should have just picked Theo up during Victor's weeks, for the child's well-being, and that my refusal showed I prioritized punishing Victor over Theo's safety. The audacity. Today's mediation was supposed to be productive. Instead, it was 4 hours of Victor alternating between charm, offensive with the mediator, and barely containing rage towards me. Some highlights from hell were this. Victor's lawyer argued that surgeons have unpredictable schedules and the court should consider that in custody arrangements, and Sharon countered that I'm also a medical professional who manages to maintain predictable pickup times. Victor claimed I deliberately scheduled my patients' appointments during pickup times to make him look bad because apparently I control when kids get sick. He brought up, that his salary is triple, as if that would make him a better parent. Sharon beautifully responded that financial provision does not replace physical presence. The mediator asked Victor directly. He said, "How many times have you been late for daycare pickup?" He just said a few times, but Marina exaggerates everything. Sharon pulled out the documentation. It was 9 times in 2 months. The mediator's face was priceless, but the moment that made me realize we're truly done is when Victor said, if she cared about Theo more than winning, she would just pick him up when I'm running late. I looked him dead in the eyes and said, if you care about Theo, you would show up on time. The room went silent and even Victor's lawyer stopped shuffling papers and the mediator suggested we take a break. Victor followed me to the parking lot and tried his old charm. He said, Marina, we can work this out. Think about what's best for Theo. I said, I am. That's why we're here. He switched tactics and went for guilt. He said, you're destroying our family. Theo needs his dad. Theo needs a father who shows up, I replied. I got in my car and left him standing there. My boss gave me an ultimatum yesterday. Figure out my schedule by next month or she'll have to reduce my hours further. She's been patient, but the practice can't function with me randomly disappearing. I get it. I hate it, but I get it. Meanwhile, Victor's been telling colleagues I'm having a mental health crisis and that's why we're divorcing. A nurse friend at his hospital told me apparently I'm unstable and vindictive. Not a whisper about his failures, just poor Victor dealing with his crazy wife. But here's the thing. I don't care anymore. Let him spin his narrative because I have receipts. I have documentation. I have a 3-year-old who runs to me, not him, when he's scared or hurt or sad. And Sharon just thinks we have a strong case for primary custody with Victor getting weekends, and he'll fight it, demand 50-50, but patterns matter in court. Consistency matters. Showing up matters. So Theo asked me yesterday why Daddy's apartment looks different. Victor finally moved out of the property last week, and I told him sometimes grown-ups need different housing, but we both love him very much. He thought about it, then asked if he could bring his dinosaurs to Daddy's new place. Such a simple question, such a complicated answer. I'm exhausted, guys, but I'm also very clear. Much more clear than I've been in years. This isn't about winning or losing. It's about giving Theo the stability and reliability he deserves, even if that means being the bad guy in Victor's story. So thank you for reading this novel. Your support keeps me absolutely sane. Final update of this crazy chapter, 3 months after the last update. Hey, everybody, did you miss me? The divorce was finalized last month, and after 2 more mediations and a court hearing, we have a custody agreement. I have primary physical custody, and Victor has every other weekend and 1 evening per week. He fought hard for 50-50, but the documentation won. The judge specifically cited the pattern of inability to maintain consistent caregiving schedules and the police incident. Victor has to pay child support, which he's bitter about, but it's fair given the income disparity and custody split. He kept the house. I don't want it anyways. Too many memories, too far from support, and Theo and I moved back to my hometown, 10 minutes from Sea. It's a small, cozy apartment with a dinosaur-themed bedroom that Theo helped design. You know the best part? My old practice had an opening. I'm back to full-time, but with a boss who understands that sometimes I need to leave at 5 sharp. No questions, no guilt, no judgment, just understanding that I'm a single mom doing her best. Oh yeah, Victor's reputation took a hit, though he won't admit it. Word travels in the medical circle. The story morphed, just depending on who tells it, but orthopedic surgeon who got police called for abandoning his kid at daycare. Doesn't play well at hospital fundraisers. He's dating someone new already. It's another surgeon with no kids. Ha! Good luck to her. Theo is thriving. His new daycare has a 6 p.m. pickup. Blessings! And I've never been late once. Not once. His anxiety has decreased dramatically according to his pediatrician, and he still sees Victor on scheduled times, and Victor has actually improved. Probably because he knows that he's being watched. He's on time for pickups now. Funny how consequences work. Sometimes Theo asks why we don't all live together anymore. I just tell him, families come in shapes and odd sizes, and ours is exactly the right shape for us. And I don't know, he seems satisfied with that for now. For now, at least. I got a text from Victor last week. He wanted to switch weekends because of a conference, and I agreed, but only with 48-hour notice in writing. Boundaries are beautiful. Looking back, letting the daycare call the police was the nuclear option, but it was also the wake-up call that ended the toxic cycle. I stopped enabling, stopped covering, and stopped setting myself on fire to keep his life running smooth. For those asking if I regret it, no. I regret not doing it sooner, but I will ask you this. Do you think I was wrong for what I did? Some people in the comments said I am, and some say I'm not. Let me know what your thoughts are. That's it. No more posts, no more updates. I'm gone. Have a good one.